Imagine standing in a crowded room, yet feeling completely invisible. Everyone is talking, shouting, competing for attention. Their words crash against each other like waves in a storm. And then, you say nothing. You don't need to. You don't have to prove yourself. You just exist. And slowly, almost imperceptibly, the room begins to shift. Eyes find you. Opportunities lean in your direction. Doors open without you ever knocking. There's a strange kind of power in silence. The world mistakes it for weakness, for indecision, for fear. But it's none of that. Silence is a weapon, a magnet, a force that moves in ways words never can. What if I told you that the less you speak, the more the universe speaks to you? That the quieter you become, the more life conspires in your favor? That everything you've been chasing will come to you naturally? If only you stay still long enough to let it. Tonight you're going to learn why silence isn't emptiness. It's everything. Why saying nothing might be the most powerful thing you will ever do. And why those who rush to fill the noise are the first to miss what's coming to them. Stay quiet, stay patient, watch. And let life reveal its secrets. Most people misunderstand silence. They see it as emptiness, as submission, as weakness. They believe that if you are not constantly talking, constantly explaining, constantly justifying yourself, you are losing. But nothing could be further from the truth. Silence is not the absence of power. It is its purest form. Think about it. When you speak, you are giving away pieces of yourself. Words are like currency, and most people spend theirs recklessly. They fill the air with noise, trying to assert control over situations they barely understand. They try to convince others of their worth, their knowledge, their intentions, and yet, the louder they speak, the more vulnerable they become. Because every word is a footprint. Every explanation is a map of their fears and desires. Silence, on the other hand, is strategic. It is deliberate. It is choosing not to reveal your position until the moment is right. It is holding your cards close to your chest while everyone else is broadcasting theirs. It is observing, calculating, and letting the world show its hand first. The quiet person is the one who sees clearly, who understands deeply, who knows that not every battle requires a fight and not every victory requires a declaration. There is an old story about a seasoned general in battle. While the other armies shouted commands boasting of their strength, he remained calm and silent. He walked among his men, watching, listening. The enemy underestimated him because he said nothing, but that silence was not emptiness, it was preparation. When the moment came, his strategy unfolded with precision. His enemies never saw it coming. That is the power of silence. It is invisible yet unstoppable. Silence also carries authority. People instinctively feel it. When someone speaks less but moves decisively, others take notice. It is not the person with the loudest voice who commands respect. It is the one whose presence alone shapes the room. There is a magnetic force in quiet confidence. You do not need to assert it with words. It radiates naturally. When you remain silent, you are showing the world that you are not defined by others' opinions or distractions. You are centered. You are unshakable. This is not just theory, it is psychology. Humans are wired to pay attention to what they cannot immediately understand. When someone is quiet while everyone else is talking, it triggers curiosity. People lean in trying to decipher the intentions, the thoughts, the plans. Silence forces others to reveal themselves. It is a mirror that exposes truth while keeping your own hand hidden. In negotiations, in relationships, in business, the one who speaks less often gains more. They listen, they observe, they adapt, and when they finally act, their moves are precise and decisive. But silence is not simply about not talking. It is about controlling your energy, your reactions, your presence. It is about restraint. It is about resisting the impulse to react to provocation, to gossip, to drama. The world is full of people who cannot sit still in discomfort. They feel the need to fill every pause with noise. They are easily manipulated by their emotions, by their fear of judgment. Silence breaks that cycle. It forces you to rely on your inner strength, to cultivate patience, to see clearly. And make no mistake, silence is not passive. It is active, it is intentional, it is disciplined, it is a choice to focus on what matters while letting go of the unnecessary. The quiet person does not waste energy convincing others. They know their work, their actions, and their presence will speak louder than any words ever could. Silence allows you to prepare, to strengthen, to become better without drawing attention. It is the calm before the storm, the stillness that precedes a breakthrough. There is also a spiritual element to silence. In the quiet, you connect with yourself. You hear the thoughts that are drowned out by the noise of the world. You see your own motivations, your fears, your desires with clarity. When you speak less, you are not only observing others, you are observing yourself. You begin to understand that the world is not about who shouts the loudest, but about who moves with purpose. Silence teaches humility, patience, and wisdom. It is the soil in which character is grown, hidden from the eyes of those who only look for spectacle. Some people fear silence because it makes them confront their own uncertainty. They think that if they stop talking, the world will leave them behind. But silence is not emptiness, it is accumulation. It is the gathering of resources, knowledge, and insight. It is the quiet preparation that allows you to strike at the right moment, not out of desperation, but from power. Those who understand this rarely need to announce their victories. Life delivers them naturally. And in the end, silence is freedom. It liberates you from the need to justify yourself. It liberates you from the chaos of other people's expectations. It liberates you from the constant pressure to perform for the approval of the world. When you master silence, you master yourself. And when you master yourself, you are unstoppable. So do not fear being quiet. Do not think that your voice must always be heard. Your power is in what you choose not to say. Your authority is in what you choose to withhold. And your victories, both seen and unseen, will come to you naturally, like a tide drawn to the moon, unstoppable and inevitable. Silence is not weakness. Silence is strategic power, and the moment you embrace it, the world begins to move differently around you. There is a force in the world that cannot be rushed. It is invisible, yet undeniable. It does not respond to force, to impatience, to desperation. It moves in its own time, with precision, with purpose. And it is waiting for those who understand that the universe does not bend to the anxious, the hurried, or the restless. It bends to the patient. Most people do not understand this. They live in a world of instant gratification, of shortcuts, of now or never. They believe that speed is strength, that rushing is momentum, that if they do not act immediately, they will be left behind. But in truth, rushing repels success. Chasing after what you want too aggressively pushes it away. Force creates resistance. Anxiety creates obstacles. Friction arises when patience is absent. Think about nature. Rivers do not carve valleys overnight. Mountains do not rise in a day. Trees do not grow in a week. The ocean does not shape the shore with a single wave. Everything that lasts, everything that is meaningful, moves slowly. And yet when you study it, there is no stopping it. There is inevitability in the process. The mountain will rise. The river will carve its path. The tree will reach its full height. The shoreline will be shaped. All of it follows its own rhythm, and nothing outside its timing can change it. This is the principle of gravity in life. Patience is gravity. Patience is the quiet force that pulls opportunities, success, and achievements toward you. When you are calm, centered, and steady, people notice. They are drawn to you without even realizing why. When you act with precision rather than desperation, the world aligns itself in your favor. But when you rush, when you force, when you demand results before you are ready, everything slips away. The harder you push, the further it moves. The louder you scream, the more elusive it becomes. Patience is not passive. It is not waiting in fear or in indecision. It is active, disciplined, and intentional. It is preparing while the world demands performance. It is learning, training, sharpening, and observing while others are distracted by immediate gratification. It is the calm in the storm, the stillness in the chaos. Patience is power because it allows you to act with clarity, with foresight, with inevitability. There is a story of a master craftsman who spent years perfecting a single creation. People laughed at him. They said it was too slow, too tedious, too careful. They demanded faster results, immediate progress. But he ignored them. He understood that mastery could not be rushed. When the time came, the work he had quietly built over the years revealed itself, flawless and unmatched. Everyone who had doubted him was left in awe. That is the force of patience. It allows you to build unseen, to accumulate strength, to prepare for the moment when the world cannot ignore you. Patience also teaches resilience. The impatient become frustrated, anxious, and reactive. They see delays as failure and obstacles as threats. The patient, however, see challenges as part of the natural order. They understand that timing is everything, that the right opportunity will come, not sooner, not later, but precisely when it is meant to arrive. And when it does, they are ready, they are steady, they are aligned, and their results are inevitable. Every moment you spend rushing is a moment you lose. Every time you push too hard, you disrupt the natural flow of life. The universe has its rhythm, and when you fight against it, you are alone in the storm. But when you align with it, when you respect its pace, it works for you, not against you. Success begins to feel less like a chase and more like a magnet pulling toward you. Opportunities appear as if by design. People, circumstances, and resources align. The momentum builds quietly, invisibly, but powerfully. This is why the most successful people rarely look desperate. They rarely plead. They rarely announce their progress. They do not need to, because they understand the law of gravity. They understand that rushing repels and waiting attracts. They know that the world moves according to its own rhythm, and that the only way to win is to move with it, not against it. Patience also creates clarity. When you are rushed, your vision narrows. You make mistakes, overlook details, and act impulsively. But when you slow down, when you allow things to unfold naturally, you see patterns others miss. You see opportunities where others see obstacles. You see the unseen connections, the invisible paths, the subtle alignments. This is why those who wait wisely always seem to be in the right place at the right time. It is not luck, it is gravity. The greatest achievements, the deepest connections, the most lasting results, they all require time. There is no shortcut, there is no hack, there is no substitute for steady, patient effort. And the paradox is that while the world chases after speed, those who embrace patience seem to accomplish more effortlessly, as if the universe itself is conspiring in their favor. Patience is also a test of character. It separates those who are truly committed from those who are merely chasing temporary desires. It strengthens your mind, sharpens your focus, and builds an inner resilience that no external circumstance can shake. It teaches you to trust yourself, to trust the process, and to trust that the work you do today, even when invisible, will bear fruit tomorrow. So stop rushing, stop forcing, stop trying to make life happen on your timeline. Align yourself with the natural order. Move steadily, deliberately, patiently, build quietly, prepare diligently, and trust that the universe responds to those who understand its pace. Because rushing repels, patience attracts. Rushing exhausts, patience strengthens. Rushing frustrates, patience creates gravity. And the gravity you create when you are calm, steady, and patient will pull everything you desire toward you, effortlessly, inevitably, naturally. The world will notice, opportunities will notice, and most importantly, you will notice. You will notice the quiet confidence that comes from knowing that when the time is right, everything will fall into place exactly as it should. Patience is not weakness. Patience is gravity. And the stronger your patience, the more the world moves toward you. Confidence is often misunderstood. Many think it is loud. Many think it is the ability to dominate a room with words or to perform under the gaze of others. But the truth is far subtler. True confidence is quiet. It is still. It does not need to announce itself because it exists independently of recognition. It is born in the absence of distraction, in the mastery of oneself, in the calm that persists when everything around you is chaos. When you cultivate inner stillness, you are no longer tossed about by external circumstances. You are no longer a reaction to other people's moods, opinions, or expectations. You do not need to prove yourself, because your sense of self is rooted in understanding, not validation. This stillness is a fortress. It shields you from the noise of the world and gives you clarity where others see confusion. When the storm rages outside, you remain entered, unshaken, unmovable. Think about a lake in the early morning, perfectly still. Its surface mirrors the sky, every detail reflected without distortion. Toss a stone into it and ripples form, but they fade. The lake returns to its calm, unbroken surface. That is what inner stillness does for the mind. It absorbs disturbance without losing equilibrium. It allows you to observe, to reflect, to calculate, to respond intentionally rather than react impulsively. In this stillness, confidence is forged. Not the flashy confidence that demands attention, but the deep, unshakable kind that commands respect without a word. Most people lack this because they are addicted to noise. They seek constant reassurance, constant approval, constant validation. They panic in silence. They react immediately, often clumsily, to every trigger. They confuse activity with progress, reaction with control, noise with strength. But the reality is the opposite. Noise exposes insecurity. Reaction exposes weakness. Movement without intention dissipates energy. Stillness, on the other hand, consolidates it. It gathers power quietly, invisibly, until it is unstoppable. Inner stillness also builds perspective. When you are calm, you see the bigger picture. When others are reacting, panicking, and overextending themselves, you are observing patterns, reading intentions, and identifying opportunities. While they expend energy in chaos, you are cultivating strategy. You notice the gaps, the openings, the possibilities that are invisible to the frantic eye. And when the moment arrives, you act, not out of haste or desperation, but from precision and certainty. That is confidence. That is power. That is mastery. There is a story of an elite operator trained to perform in the most high-pressure, chaotic environments imaginable. While others would panic under the weight of uncertainty, he would breathe, wait, observe, and move with absolute clarity. He never needed to shout. He never needed to dominate the conversation. His presence alone carried authority. Those around him trusted him instinctively, not because he proved it with words, but because his calm told them he was in control. This is the essence of inner stillness. Stillness is also a form of control. When you are quiet, you are not a slave to impulse. You are not a puppet of circumstance. You choose your responses. You measure your actions. You know when to speak, when to act, and when to remain silent. In this space between stimulus and response, confidence is cultivated. You understand that your value is not determined by immediate outcomes or external validation, but by your ability to navigate the world with intentionality and composure. The world around us is loud, chaotic, and relentless. People are constantly trying to pull you into their frenzy, their drama, their urgency. They demand reactions, explanations, and attention. And if you allow yourself to be swept along, your energy is drained, your focus fractured, and your confidence diminished. But those who master inner stillness stand apart. They are not indifferent. They are aware. They are not disconnected. They are present. They are not weak. They are anchored. And anchored, they become immovable in a world built on motion. Stillness also breeds self-knowledge. When you spend time in quiet observation, you begin to understand your own mind. You notice your impulses, your fears, your tendencies. You see clearly what motivates you, what distracts you, what strengthens you, and what weakens you. This knowledge is the bedrock of confidence because when you understand yourself, you are no longer subject to doubt. You are no longer swayed by the judgments of others. You act with certainty because you know who you are, what you stand for, and what you are capable of achieving. Inner stillness allows for focus. The loud world thrives on distraction. It wants your attention divided, your energy scattered, your mind cluttered. But when you cultivate stillness, your focus sharpens. Your decisions become deliberate. Your actions become intentional. Your results become inevitable. While others chase, stumble, and waste themselves in chaos, you move quietly, deliberately, and effectively. That is the mark of true confidence, the ability to operate with precision regardless of external pressure. And perhaps most importantly, stillness builds resilience. Life is unpredictable, challenging, and often unfair. Those who cannot remain calm are easily shaken, derailed, or defeated, but those who have cultivated inner stillness endure. They navigate adversity with clarity, adapt without panic, and persist without distraction. Confidence born from stillness is not conditional on comfort. It thrives in difficulty. It is unshakable because it comes from within. So do not seek to be loud to prove your worth. Do not seek to dominate through noise or activity. Instead, cultivate stillness. Breathe, observe, reflect. Anchor yourself in the knowledge of who you are and the clarity of your purpose. Let the world rush around you, let chaos unfold, and let others react impulsively. You remain calm, intentional, and powerful, and in that stillness, confidence is no longer something you try to summon. It becomes your natural state. The world will notice, people will sense it, opportunities will align, but more importantly, you will know it yourself. You will feel the strength that comes from a mind that is calm, a presence that is grounded, and a spirit that is unshakable. Inner stillness does not seek recognition, it is its own reward, and it builds a confidence so deep, so resilient, so inevitable, that nothing in the world can take it from you. Confidence is not loud, it is still, it is quiet, it is deliberate, it is unshakable, and when you cultivate it, the world moves differently around you. You are no longer reactive, you are intentional, you are anchored, you are unstoppable. There is a strange power in saying nothing. The world often tells us that to succeed, we must speak, explain, negotiate, justify ourselves at every turn. But silence, when wielded correctly, becomes far more revealing than words ever could. It filters people, exposing their true intentions, their fears, their desires, and in that revelation lies power, the kind of power that cannot be bought, borrowed, or fabricated. When you choose not to speak, the people around you begin to speak for themselves. Words spill out of them unconsciously, guards drop, masks slip. The true nature of a person, normally hidden behind politeness, charm, or pretense, becomes visible. Silence forces honesty, not because you interrogate, not because you confront, but because you are simply still. You hold space, and in that space, others reveal themselves. Most people cannot stand silence. They panic. They fill it with noise, explanation, or argument. They are uncomfortable with the unspoken because it reflects back on them. Silence is a mirror, and mirrors do not lie. When you do not react, when you do not explain, when you do not give away your position, people begin to reveal their positions, often unintentionally. Their words, their body language, their tone, they all betray truth. Think about negotiations, the subtle games of influence, the delicate art of understanding human nature. The person who speaks first often gives away their leverage. The person who reacts immediately often shows their weakness. But the one who observes in silence? They learn everything they need to know. They watch who respects boundaries, who seeks to manipulate, who acts out of fear or ambition. And then, when the moment is right, they act decisively, with precision and inevitability. The information they have gathered silently becomes their greatest weapon. Silence also tests loyalty. When someone cannot provoke you into response, cannot manipulate you through words, cannot control you with drama, their true intentions become clear. Some will withdraw, unable to deal with your quiet strength. Others will lean in, revealing themselves as genuine, trustworthy, and aligned. Silence naturally filters the people around you. It separates the opportunists from the loyal, the pretenders from the authentic, the weak from the strong. It is a sieve through which truth passes effortlessly. There is a story of a leader who, in a room full of advisors, never immediately responded to questions or suggestions. While others debated loudly, he remained silent, listening. Over time, the advisors revealed their true intentions, some driven by ego, some by fear, some by ambition, and some by loyalty. The leader did not need to interrogate or confront. Silence did the work for him. He observed, he understood, and when he finally acted, his decisions were informed by clarity no one else possessed. That is the subtle yet immense power of silence. Silence is also a test of self-control. It is easy to speak, it is easy to react. It is easy to be swept away by emotion, impulse, or anger. But to remain silent, to observe without judgment, to withhold immediate reaction, to resist the urge to explain or justify yourself, requires discipline. And in that discipline, strength grows. Inner control and outer effectiveness are inseparable. The quiet person does not allow others' chaos to dictate their behavior. They remain sovereign even in a room full of noise. Human behavior is transparent to the observant eye. People are creatures of habit, driven by desire, fear, and ego. The loudest reactions, the rushed explanations, the overeager responses, they all reveal vulnerability. And when you do not give away your own position, you gain a vantage point from which to see clearly. You see intentions before they become actions. You see deception before it manifests. You see opportunity before it presents itself. Silence is not passive. It is a lens, a tool, a force multiplier. But silence is more than just observation. It is strategic. By saying nothing, you allow others to overcommit, overexpose, and reveal themselves unnecessarily. You force them to act, speak, and display their priorities while you remain unbound, unreactive, untethered. The quiet person gains power not by manipulation, but by restraint. Their restraint becomes a magnet for truth, clarity, and advantage. The world is full of noise, and most people are drowning in it. They are shouting to be heard, explaining to be understood, defending to avoid criticism, and in that shouting, they reveal everything about themselves. But the one who chooses stillness, who chooses silence, sees beyond the surface. They notice contradictions, intentions, and hidden motivations. They understand people not by what is said, but by what is left unsaid. Silence becomes a map of human behavior, and in it they navigate with certainty. Silence also creates presence. People are drawn to those who do not react impulsively, who do not demand attention, who are not easily swayed by drama. Your quiet confidence attracts others, commands respect, and encourages honesty. It is in this space that relationships deepen, negotiations succeed, and opportunities align. By withholding reaction, you give others the chance to show their true nature, and in return, the world responds to you with authenticity. Ultimately, silence filters people and reveals truth because it exposes the world exactly as it is. It is a test, a mirror, a lens. Those who cannot handle your quiet strength will falter. Those who are genuine will lean in. Those who are opportunistic will be exposed. And you, by choosing stillness over noise, gain clarity, control, and insight that words alone could never provide. So do not fear silence. Do not rush to explain, justify, or react. Allow the world to speak while you observe. Let others reveal themselves through their own actions and words. Stand firm in quiet confidence. In that stillness, truth surfaces. People show who they really are. Opportunities reveal themselves naturally. And your power, grounded in patience and observation, becomes absolute. Silence is not emptiness. Silence is a filter. Silence is a mirror. And in that reflection, the world and everyone in it becomes transparent to those who have the discipline to remain still. There is a rhythm to life that cannot be forced, a current that cannot be rushed, a timing that cannot be hurried. The world often tells us to seize every opportunity, to chase relentlessly, to control every outcome, and yet, the most powerful victories, the deepest achievements, the most meaningful connections, they arrive not because we forced them, but because we allowed them to align with our preparation, our discipline, and our patience. There is a process at work, and trusting it is the key to receiving what is meant for you. Most people do not understand this. They become anxious when results do not appear immediately. They panic when progress seems slow. They measure success in speed, in instant recognition, in immediate returns. And in that panic, they push, they strain, they chase, and in doing so, they repel what they most desire. The universe, life itself, does not respond to desperation. It responds to alignment, to preparation, to readiness. It responds to those who are still, who are disciplined, who are patient. Trusting the process is not passivity. It is not waiting aimlessly or resigning to fate. It is deliberate action combined with faith in timing. It is the understanding that every step you take, every skill you hone, every decision you make, all of it is accumulating unseen energy that will eventually converge into momentum. It is the quiet certainty that your work matters even when the world does not recognize it, that your preparation is shaping outcomes even if the results are not yet visible. There is a story of a young craftsman who dreamed of mastery. He practiced every day, honing his skill, learning the intricacies of his craft, often in solitude, often without recognition. Friends laughed, competitors mocked, opportunities seemed scarce. But he trusted the process. Every stroke, every repetition, every small failure was building something invisible, something inevitable. Years later, when his work finally came into the light, it was unparalleled. The results seemed effortless, but the process, the unseen labor, the discipline, the patience, had been meticulous and unwavering. What was meant for him found him because he did not rush, he did not force, he trusted the work itself. Trusting the process requires letting go of the illusion of control. Humans are conditioned to believe they must orchestrate every outcome, manipulate every variable, force life to comply with their expectations. But the truth is, life is not a sequence of predictable moves. It is complex, dynamic, and often mysterious. When you release the need to control, you gain clarity. You stop exhausting yourself on distractions, on outcomes that are not yet ready, on battles that are not yours to fight. You align your energy with the flow of life, and in doing so, you create space for what is truly meant for you to appear. There is a natural law at work. What is aligned with your preparation, your discipline, and your integrity will gravitate toward you. Why arrive quietly, imperceptibly, almost like a whisper at first. You may not notice it in the chaos of daily life, but when the timing is right, it will reveal itself unmistakably. Opportunities, people, circumstances, and breakthroughs do not need to be forced. They find the path to those who are ready. And readiness is cultivated in silence, in patience, in deliberate action, and in trust. The challenge is resisting the temptation to rush. When you see others moving faster, achieving more, or gaining recognition, it is easy to doubt the process. It is easy to compare, to panic, to push harder than necessary. But pushing without alignment creates friction. It generates chaos. It moves you away from the flow rather than toward it. True success is not measured by the speed at which it arrives, but by the inevitability of its arrival. When you trust the process, you create gravity that draws it to you, naturally, effortlessly, inevitably. Trusting the process also builds resilience. Life is unpredictable. There will be setbacks, delays, and moments that test your faith. But when you understand that every experience is part of the preparation, every obstacle is part of the alignment, every delay is part of the timing, you navigate adversity with clarity and purpose. You do not lose momentum, you conserve it. You do not despair, you adapt. And in that adaptation, you position yourself to receive the outcomes that are destined for you, fully prepared to recognize them when they arrive. There is a subtle but profound difference between effort and attachment to outcome. Effort is under your control, outcome is not. The patient, disciplined person invests in effort and trusts that the outcome will come. The anxious, hurried person fixates on outcome and loses sight of effort, often sabotaging their own path. The process honors those who honor it, who act consistently, intentionally, and with discipline. And when the timing is right, what is meant for you does not require chasing. It finds you. Trusting the process is also an act of faith. Faith not in chance, but in your own preparation, your own consistency, and the natural alignment of effort with opportunity. It is faith in the rhythm of life, in the law of cause and effect, in the principle that deliberate work compounded over time produces results. It is the understanding that while you may not control every detail, you do control your readiness, your discipline, and your focus. And those elements are what determine whether you are prepared to receive what comes when it arrives. So do not rush, do not force, do not try to manipulate the world to your timeline. Instead, act intentionally, work diligently, cultivate patience, and trust the process. Build quietly, refine relentlessly, and prepare relentlessly. What is meant for you is already moving toward you, drawn by the gravity of your discipline, focus, and readiness. You may not see it immediately, but it is coming. You do not need to chase it. The process will deliver it at the exact moment you are ready to receive it. The paradox of life is that the harder you try to force your path, the more it slips away. The calmer you remain, the more you align, and the more naturally what belongs to you comes into your life. Trust the process, trust yourself, trust the invisible currents of preparation, patience, and discipline. Do not be swayed by noise, doubt, or impatience. What is meant for you will find you. It always does. In the quiet confidence of trust, you are unstoppable. In the deliberate alignment of effort, patience, and readiness, the universe conspires in your favor. And when what is meant for you finally arrives, it will feel inevitable, not because it was forced, but because everything was perfectly aligned all along. Everything we have explored tonight, the power of silence, the gravity of patience, the unshakable strength of inner stillness, the clarity that comes from observing without reaction, and the trust in life's timing, comes down to one fundamental truth. Your power is not in the noise you make, but in the calm you hold. The world is loud. It will demand your attention, your energy, your explanations. It will try to pull you into chaos, into haste, into reaction. But the strongest, the most resilient, the most unstoppable people are not those who shout the loudest. They are those who stand still in their purpose, quiet in their confidence, patient in their pursuit, and unwavering in their trust. When you stay silent, you see what others cannot. When you are patient, the universe aligns in your favor. When you remain calm, your decisions carry weight and precision. When you trust the process, what is meant for you finds its way to you naturally, inevitably, without struggle. So hold your silence like armor. Carry your patience like a weapon. Let your stillness speak louder than words. Trust that life is conspiring in your favor when you align your effort with discipline, your focus with action, and your presence with purpose. The world will try to rush you, to distract you, to make you prove yourself. But your journey is not about speed. Your journey is about inevitability. Everything you seek, everything you deserve, everything you are meant to receive will come to you. Not because you chased it, not because you forced it, but because you became the kind of person the universe cannot ignore. Stand still, wait, watch, prepare. And when the time comes, you will not have to announce yourself. You will not have to fight for recognition. You will simply arrive, and the world will know, without words, without effort, without doubt, that you were always meant to be here. Stay silent, stay patient, stay unshakable, and let life unfold exactly as it should.